You may recall from our introduction to databases in Dr. Codd's paper entitled A Relational Model of Data for Large Shared Databanks, he suggested that in addition to creating a relational model for data, there should also be a standard programming language which has the means to query data, define data structures to store our data in, and also grant permissions to users to access the data structures, which, as you know by now, is SQL code. SQL statements can be broken down into three categories. The first of these categories is referred to as data manipulation language, or DML statements. Such DML statements include select, insert, update, delete, and merge data within a table. When you hear an analyst referring to writing queries in SQL, they're typically referring to such DML statements. In other words, statements that allow us to manipulate data from a table to return a required result. The next category of SQL statements is known as Data Definition Language (DDL) statements, which are SQL statements that help us to define our data structures within a database or data warehouse, such as create, alter, or drop a table, view, or index. The last set of SQL statements we will be learning in this course are referred to as Data Control Language statements, or DCL statements. Such statements are used to control user permissions for accessing parts of the database or data warehouse and underlying tables and views. To summarize, SQL statements can be categorized into three groups: data manipulation language statements, which allow us to query data from a database; data definition language statements, which provide us with the means to create data structures to store our data in, such as tables and views; and finally, data control language statements, which allow us to define user rights and privileges for accessing a database and subsequent tables. That's all on SQL statement categories.